Hi, folks. I'm your host, Gary Axelbank, and we welcome you to Open. Coming up on today's show, we'll connect with the vice president of an organization that knows a thing or two about biking trails. We'll learn about some hidden trail gems and how we can best enjoy the great outdoors this spring. After that, we'll sit down with the founder and executive producers of an organization called Eres that is empowering content creators to be themselves. Then we'll hear from the founder and president of a nonprofit organization that's raising awareness on mental health, providing support services. Plus, we'll meet a creative who has found innovative ways to connect her passion for fashion with Marvel Comics. And finally, we'll sit down with students from the City College of New York who will shine a light on how that institution is emphasizing efforts on mental health support services and much more. So don't go anywhere. All this and more is headed your way. Because yes, we are now with an O, Open. Hey everybody, I'm your host, Gary Axelbank, sitting in for my buddy, Dr. Bob Lee, and you are watching Open, the live and interactive program that brings the Bronx and New York City straight to your TV set. Stay connected to us through social media at BronxNet TV. Leading things off this morning with spring in full bloom, it's time to answer the call of the great outdoors. Our guest is the Vice President of Communication at Trails Conservancy. He joins us to highlight hidden gem trails and share compelling reasons to explore them this season, just in time to celebrate Trails Day. Let's welcome Brandi Horton to the show. Nice to have you with us, Brandi.
Oh, it's great to be here. Thank you.
Explain to me what Trails Day is. I had never heard of it, and I'm with you. I support.
Sure. Celebrate Trails Day is a big national event that Rails to Trails Conservancy organizes every year. It's on the fourth Saturday in April, and really it is an invitation for people to get outside and show off all of the ways that trails make a difference in their life, in their community, really sending a message that these are vital spaces. So we expect this year, it's April 26th, we expect that there will be hundreds of events and thousands of people who will take to the trails for the day and do the things that they love, but also really kind of viewing this as a day of action, sending a message that these are essential assets and kind of places in our communities.
Well, why is this so important? I mean, to me, frankly, it just seems so obvious, but coming from you, an expert, why is this so important?
I think there are the obvious parts, but you'd be surprised how many people maybe don't always agree. And so it's so important that we take a moment to send this message so that we can continue to build support for having access to green spaces in our communities. You know, it's good for our bodies and our minds to be outside. It's also really good for our community. When we get out of the house, out of the office, out of the car, we start to meet our neighbors. We start to meet the people that live, with us, and that builds quality of life. That makes places great places to live. It's also about the economy. Trails and outdoor recreation support tourism, small businesses, jobs. They're in New York. Outdoor recreation provides nearly 250,000 jobs for the whole state. It's just an incredible, people don't kind of put those things together often. It's also, we're having fun out there, but it's safe. Trails are really important because they're separating us from cars. So when we're walking and we're biking, it gives us the opportunity to kind of relax a little bit, be a little bit freer in our outdoor activity. And it's also good for the people driving. There's all sorts of evidence that when we have infrastructure that separates people from cars, everybody wins, everybody benefits. So really finding opportunities to show off why these spaces matter to us. These are just a few reasons, but we all have our own reasons why getting outside is important to kind of how we live our lives. And so having a day to be able to showcase that and celebrate that is so important to the country.
As we were just talking briefly, two of the three largest parks in New York City are in our borough of the Bronx. The trails, I'm more familiar with Van Cortlandt Park than Pelham Bay Park. We have trails people of the Bronx. It's healthy. I mean, you just heard all the reasons why. Brandi, why don't you just talk and to conclude this about Trails Day and just
Sure.
give us the final cheer to get people out there and enjoy the beautiful spring weather. We're going to have good weather for the next week or at least. So.
It's always, we like to say we hope it doesn't rain, but it doesn't rain on Celebrate Trails Day. But this Saturday, I think there's a few great options for folks to get outside in the Bronx area. In New York City, in the city, there is an event in Manhattan that is being hosted with our partners at Brompton Bikes. And so if folks are interested in doing that, it kicks off at about 9 a.m. at the Junction, which is the name of their store down there. And it'll be a ride to Governor's Island. It's going to be a really nice day. But there's also the Bronx River Greenway right there, which is 22 miles of trail on the waterfront. So if you're not into an event, you just want to get out for a walk or a bike ride, that is the perfect space to do that, or hit any of the incredible green spaces. I mean, how lucky Bronx residents are. It's one of the greenest boroughs in the city. So that is, when you've got access to nature right there, that's huge. So railstotrails.org/celebrate trails. That's your place to go to get all the information you need about how to find trails, things that you might want to do, or events that are happening near you.
There you go. Brandi Horton, thank you so much. I know you're busy. You're probably going out there yourself, and we like that idea.
I am.
We'll just remind everybody for more information, visit railstotrails.org and celebrate trails. We'll take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more Open next.
19.7% of Bronxites currently experience food insecurity. Meanwhile, instead of these nice, colorful foods, this is the best food that they have access to. If this sounds like you, there are a bunch of resources to get healthy food for free or cheap. If you want to help, you might consider donating or volunteering in one of these places. Community fridges like this one are all over the city and allow New Yorkers to conveniently donate extra food to people who might need it. Go to this link and find your nearest one. Food banks and pop-up events like these provide millions of healthy meals to families in need. These organizations are distributing meals to Bronxites as we speak and are always accepting donations and volunteers.
Only 57% of New York City high school students are college ready by their senior year. "55% of high school graduates either have no plans to attend college or are uncertain that they will ever attend. "34% of young adults don't go to college because they can't afford it. Discover what's possible. BronxNet's education programs, internships, and opportunities help engage and inspire Bronx youth and beyond to pursue their passions. Be a part of the BronxNet family. Whether you're interested in our shows, joining a class, or donating to support our mission, visit BronxNet.org to learn more.
Okay, welcome back to Open. Our next guests are the founder, executive producers, brand director, and content creator of Eres. They're with us to highlight their upcoming BU Fest, Eres too, and to speak about how they are driving content spaces that celebrate creatives being themselves. So welcome Christine Cortes, nice to have you with us, and Michelle Polanco to the program. Michelle, just talk about, we were just doing really healthy things, talking about walking on trails. Mm-hmm. Where does RSU fit into this and the notion of being you, being yourself, into this whole realm of having people do better?
Well, I mean, overall in well-being, right? If you're yourself and you feel affirmed, you're gonna show up as your best self everywhere. So our motto is to be you, own it. And we really push that through the media that we produce and the spaces that we create so that everybody feels empowered to just show up as they are and show what they've got.
And so, as opposed to a production company that just, makes TV shows or whatever it is that they do, you have a real agenda here. How does the mix of the content that you create work toward that agenda of helping people do better?
Well, there's a few components, right? So we place representation at the forefront, and we tell our stories. Everything is by us and for us. We never tell someone else's story, so that's really important to what we do in terms of our agenda. And overall, in terms of empowering creatives and entrepreneurs, we do it by way of not just producing content, but also hosting workshops and panels, giving folks opportunities through grants and job postings, curated events even, to be able to connect, collab, and grow together.
Christine, let's talk specifics about how the productions work and who comes in together. Like, anybody can come in, do they sign up with you? And then ultimately, what do they get to do that not only puts something out, but helps them do better?
Yeah, so right now the brand is really focused on building brand awareness. And so what we do is we feature a lot of our creatives and entrepreneurs through a Be You Own It series that we do. And so they send us content. They answer a few questions for us around what being you means to them. Why do they create? Why do they love to create? And we create these series that we put out on our social media. Secondarily, we have a space called Creators Collective, which is an opportunity for creatives and entrepreneurs to sign up. It's through a different app, and we have over 170 plus members there that they get to network with other creatives. There we host skill building workshops and events, like how to shoot for social media, how to produce your own series, even how to protect your creatives, since creatives need to understand what it means to protect their intellectual properties. And then also in there, we put out curated grants.
Wow.
And through,
I feel like saying, is that all?
I know. We do a lot for sure.
Well, it's interesting to me. Every time people throw out numbers, so you say, what was it, 170?
Plus, yeah.
Do it on your fingers and get to 170, and you get to see the size of it. But I, hearing you talk about it was very inspiring to me because it's so Bronx. We have the need to create, and when you tell me 170, there's 1.4 million that could be part of it because that's who we are. Talk to me about the borough of the Bronx and why Eres is perfect for our home borough.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm a Bronx native.
Well, as soon as I said that, she lit up like a light bulb.
Yeah, no, because I'm really excited. I'm a Bronx native. We're doing this first ever BU Fest here in the Bronx. I'm really excited to find partners and opportunities for Bronx creatives, local creatives, whether it's artists, artisans, vendors, even people who are in production and media that get to host and facilitate our workshops at the event. And what we're really looking to do is start here and bring the Bronx with us wherever we go. The festival is really looking to grow past the Bronx even, but we want to bring the Bronx creatives with us.
Okay, so I'm going to get up now and give you a big hug because this is what we need in the borough of the Bronx. We know what's going on out there, but we have stood strong, and this is why, because we are who we are. Talk about the definition of the projects. Like, what is it that when either people come in or they send you stuff that you say, this works, well, maybe not. You know what I mean? Talk about the editing of what you actually choose to do, if you would.
Well, in terms of the folks that are coming to Creators Collective,
yes.
Yeah.
So we are. It's not necessarily a vetting process to say that this works or this doesn't. It's really a community for folks that are doing things, right?
Whatever it is you say, we like. We check, put the
Right.
check mark.
We just want to make sure that you are in whatever you're saying you're doing, and really have the space for you to grow with everybody else.
How long have you been doing this?
We launched, Creators Collective launched last year, but
So-
Eres has been around since the end of 2018.
And now after the pandemic, do you find that there's kind of a different
Absolutely.
attitude? I'm going to guess, and then you can either confirm or
Yeah.
deny, that we're getting more of it because people had been alone for 2 years, and then especially Bronx people had to explode.
Yeah, and that's why we're doing BU Fest. Actually, our platform is mostly digital. We do host in-person events, but everybody's craving to connect in person, and BU Fest, we feel, is the ultimate place to do so, because you're going to feel your creative and you'll be able to meet other people that are doing the same things or other creative crafts like you.
Let's also talk about what resources people might need. Do they need to have their resources at home, where they create this stuff, maybe something that they've submitted to you, or can you help provide it? Of course, BronxNet does a ton of work in this realm as well.
Yeah, it's a little bit of both for sure. We, whether it's content creation via social media, or you're looking to do more film projects, let's say you're a filmmaker, then if you're at home, if you're doing content creation, we teach you how to do that with your phone. But then secondarily, if you're looking to do something that's a bit bigger and you're looking to produce a film, we have a network of other people that you can tap into to help you create that film.
Talk about digital spaces and people, everybody, I can hold up my cell phone and say, we all got one of these. You can do that, and you can be on, all over the world. Just talk about the opportunities that the digital world provide for the people who work with you.
Yeah, so, we've been talking about Creators Collective, but Eres as a brand is a digital space. We, even during the pandemic, you kind of mentioned, right, was a real opportunity for people to show up differently. And so something that we did weeks on end of Instagram lives that really catered to the needs of our audience. We had workshops, creative expression, conversations around healing during that time, but also how we can use our art to heal. And that's something that Ed is really focused on. We even fundraised money for different organizations at that time, utilizing the digital space, if you will, to do so. Yeah.
Well, I was just looking at some of the photos that they're showing. There's a lot of happy people there. And I really think, just really learning about this really is perfect for the borough of the Bronx. I mean, nobody knows who we are. We know we created all the music in the world. We know that that's a matter of history. And so just talk about the borough of the Bronx and why this really works here, even though it's been around in other places as well.
Well, the creative community is growing a lot in the Bronx.
Boy, is that ever true.
So
I sit in this seat for a couple of programs, and I know exactly what you're talking about.
yes, over the last, I believe, 25 years, it's more than doubled. And while other boroughs have larger creative communities and resources and things that already might be more set up, we feel like the Bronx is vibrant, is coming up in that sense. So we want to empower more folks and support and show up for the people that are living their dreams.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you this question, and maybe it's obvious, but I think it's just so important. Why do you do this? What is it in you that said, hey, this, out of all the possibilities in this world, you learn stuff in education, you go to school. Why is this really important to you personally?
Yeah, well, like I mentioned at the beginning, we do things by us and for us. And as a creative entrepreneur myself, I definitely found many times that I didn't feel supported. I didn't know where to go. I didn't have the resources. And I wanted to create that space so that I can not just go myself, but also bring folks
bring others
with. Yeah.
You're getting the same question.
I don't know that I can give much of a different answer because it really is the same.
And by the way, what we just heard from Michelle really speaks to the Bronx, because people, we know what's out there, and people really need to be themselves. But go ahead. I had to ask that question.
No. I mean, just on the Bronx alone, what we find with the creative community is that we sort of work in these silos within the spaces. And really what we're looking to do with BU Fest is kind of bring those together. So me personally, I've been in the media industry for over 12 years, and I'm always kind of...
We need more than 12 minutes to talk about that.
Yeah, so, I've always, in a lot of rooms been the only Latina represented in the space. And really it was important for us to kind of create a space that representation is at the forefront of everything we do. So you see our Black, Indigenous, people of color at the forefront.
BU Fest, when, where, how do people connect? What do they do? How do we make it happen?
May 3rd.
May
3rd, Saturday, May 3rd. Doors open at 9, and it's actually at BronxNet at 441.
What? Go ahead, keep going.
At 441 Westchester Avenue. And all you have to do is purchase a ticket. There's different passes for you to try, and you just go to the website.
Yeah, the festival itself, it's going to be an experience. You're going to be able to fully immerse yourself in creativity and inspiration. The room is going to be, we're going to have projection mapping across all the rooms.
And so this is at our facility at La Central in the South
it
Bronx.
is.
Yes, it is.
Yes,
Here we
it
go.
is.
Which is really good because then people will get to know the facility. Of course, it was so easy for me to hear what you're saying because this, of course, is what BronxNet has been about for, since we got started. Well, folks, Michelle Polanco and Christine Cortes, thank you so much for, this is the core, this is the Bronx, this is how we survive, and we really appreciate your time.
Thank you so
thank you.
much.
Great. Okay, folks, we'll take a quick break, but we'll be back with more Open right after this.
We're gonna start the show right now. This is my favorite part. Ready in 5, 4, 3, 2. Hey, this is Angel, and I am one of the instructors for the in-studio production. Here at BronxNet, we offer classes that can help you elevate, expand, and start your television career. All you have to do is sign up at bronxnet.org/education. For the past 7 years, I have been in various productions, spanning from talk shows, independent films, news reports, art displays, teachings, musical performances, and many more. Ain't that right, Angel? Yeah, you're absolutely right, Angel. There are a lot of creative individuals that we're just waiting to sign up for the class. And if I may, can I also express thank you, Angel. That's all the time we have left. Visit bronxnet.org/education and become a producer by taking the course. The class I offer is also in English, en español y también bilingüe. Nos vemos en la próxima clase.
Okay, welcome back to Open. Our next guest is a businesswoman, an entrepreneur, mental health advocate, and the founder and president of Walks of Light. She joins us to talk about her services her organization is offering to improve mental health outcomes within her community and our community. Please join me in welcoming Sojey Fernandez. Nice to have you with us. She's there virtually and in reality. Nice to see you, Sojey. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Good morning. Thank you so much for having me today.
Just talk a little bit about Walks of Light, the beginning of it, why it was founded, and what the objective are, and then we'll break it down and talk about, the specifics.
Yes, absolutely. So Walks of Light was found because we want to help our community to encourage to learn about mental health. Our mission is to foster open conversations about the mental health and encourage empathy, provide free resources to the community. And also our mission is to educate, connect, and advocate. And the reason we started this, it was with the Dr. Luisa Perez. She's been helping the community for more than 20 years, especially the Bronx community. And since I have that passion for helping others, we talk about it and we say, this is the time to really help our community understand mental health and encourage them as well.
You know, there are all different levels of mental health issues. And some of the obvious ones we, see in the streets, and we may know people and we know their institutions and all that. But the whole notion of mental health applies, frankly, to all of us, and we are all at kind of a different level. So let's start off with everyday people who, listen, we have the stresses of life. We know what's going on out in the world around us. Talk about, for regular folk, why maybe they should consider their own mental health in their everyday activities, whether they go to work or work with their family or whatever it is that they do.
I love that you bring these to this conversation because it shows that prolonged and chronic stress can negative affect our mental health, increasing anxiety and depression. And we all in a chronic stress sometimes. And when we realize the mental health is so important as physical health, we start really taking care our mind, our bodies, and our souls by exercising, by eating correctly, by taking the right vitamins for us to be at peace and taking care that important part, which is our mental health and our emotional well-being. When we are okay, everything in our lives can be okay. So that's the first step, really taking care ourselves.
You know what's interesting is, and I love the fact that you brought up the connection between your mental state and your physical state. I can't tell you how many times people have said, and I know they're going through problems at home or whatever, and they say, God, I have a stomach ache. And it's like, and I don't even know why. I didn't eat anything bad or anything like that. And then and then sometimes you say, well, you're kind of going through some hard times, and it comes out in that way. And the kids made you upset. Your boss said something you didn't like, and then all of a sudden you say, gee, I don't feel well today. Gee, I wonder why. I mean,
Yes, yes.
that's what happens.
Yes, and that is again so important that you mentioned that because one of the conversation that Dr. Luisa Perez and I were having is that she has her clinic in the Bronx, and she was helping patients that were somatizing their really their emotions and her physical body. And for more that she was trying to help them physically, she realizes that what's going on, it was that they were going to trauma, they were going to pain, they were going to high anxiety or high chronic stress. And when she realizes this, she said, the only way that I will be able to help my patients, it is not just about the physical. I need to understand what's really going on in their in the regular life. I need to understand what's going on in their mind so that way I can help them properly. And a lot of them, they really got healed right away when they realized that the problem was in their mind and not in the physical body.
Back pain is a lot like that, and there have been many studies about back pain. We could talk about all those separately, but I'll give you a little anecdote. I had a friend who came. I had an office in the job I had, and he came and he said, "Oh, I can't move my back." And so I said, sit down for a second. And then, I said, how you been, man? What's going on? He was having some issues with his family that he couldn't resolve. And I said, well, that's why you have back pain. And he said, you know what? You're right. And he got up and he walked out my office and he was just fine.
Well, you're really an advocate for mental health.
We're on the same page. But these are, in a way, very logical kind of things. So talk about Walks of Light and what it is that you provide. We can start with everyday people, and then we can talk about people with more severe mental health issues. But talk about Walks of Light and what you do to address these kinds of things.
Yes. So right now we have different services. What we're doing more, it's an online educations. We also host rallies, and we're gonna have our next rally now in this summer. So for daily day people, we host rallies to help the families and their young to kind of like educate them about traumas, how to help a family member. We also host rallies that helps with physical activity that is an important part of our mental health. We also do a stress testing, free stress testing, because like I said, the importance of somebody to understand if they are really high stress level. So that's what we're doing. We have a lot of different tools in social media and also in our websites, blogs, informations to help to help the community, right? And for people that actually need more support, we have a groups of doctor, and that's our connection part,
Wow.
that we refer that to them. We have doctors that has volunteered their time, and this is so important because a lot of people don't get the help that they need because sometimes they don't have the resources, and that's what we are doing in Walks of Light.
You know, so we talked about quote unquote everyday people with these kinds of issues, but let's just, and I think about my friends and neighbors who are parents, and they say, gee, there's something odd or wrong with my child or with somebody in school, you know, et cetera. What do you do, and how does Walks of Life intercede in that situation to really help them get professional help? I mean, that, you know, at that point, you may need to cross the line from just having a conversation in Gary's office to really talking, you know, with somebody who is a professional.
Yes, we have partners, organizations that we send it to, and also the doctors that we connect our people to. And one of the organizations that we have partner is for kids with disability. So they actually do the testing, the psychological testing to identify if what really that kid needs or that young kids needs for us to be able to help them. So basically, what we do is a connection and we refer them to the right place.
You know, we're going to move, as I said at the beginning, we'll move up the ladder. Then you see somebody who commits a crime and they say, gee, we never knew, or we never really got them help, et cetera. Walks of Light, excuse me, provides free resources. It's very important to emphasize that. This is a case that you can really talk to somebody who can really help for free.
Yes. Yes, but the mostly that we're doing right now to help the community, like I said, are the rallies, and also the support that we are giving online. So these rallies are really important because we gather doctors, the volunteers, they're free with their times to talk to the community, to give free information about how to help a family member, how to understand their emotional well-being. We are helping our community, especially the Bronx community at this moment.
Talk about the next event that you want to promote to tell people about.
Yes, our next event is going to be this summer. We encourage everybody to follow us in our social media because soon we're going to be posting all the information about that rally. And again, that is a free day for the community and for the family to receive those free tools and those free resources that they need to have that connection with the family, and also to understand themselves and their family members that are experiencing any mental health.
And I'm sure you see some results, right? You get to know people, and then you say, wow, look at you, you're happy and healthy. Or they come back and they wave, and you know all of a sudden those issues they don't have. That must be very gratifying.
Yes, especially the doctor, because as you know, I'm an advocate, but the doctor that is my partner, she's the one that have, if
Really,
she will be here, she will tell you many cases, many families that she has helped throughout these 20 years. And this is something that affects us all. And
right.
that's why I'm so passionate about it, because when we understand really to have empathy, as you know, sometimes you see somebody that her arm broke, and then you were like, oh my god, this is so bad, let me open the door for them. You have empathy because you see it, but
Right.
imagine that you cannot see the pain, you
So
know.
hey, we've got to get going. You are just a superstar. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for helping the people of the Bronx. It is walksoflight.org. Check them out, and let's all do better, be happier, and think of all the great things that Sojey just told us about.
Excellent, thank you so much for having me.
We appreciate your time. We're going to take a quick break, and then, of course, I'm not going. You're not going. We'll be right back. again. Okay, welcome back. Our next guest is a marvelous creative who turns fantasy into fashion, from her roots in the comic world to her passion for sustainable style. She's bringing together art, legacy, and community seamlessly. Please welcome to the show, Catherine Schuller. Nice to have you with us, Catherine.
Thank you, Gary. It's wonderful to be here. I appreciate you having the time for me because I love what I do.
Well, that's good. You know, we've had a lot of people on the show today who feel that way. I love what I do. But just talk to me. Why do you love what you do?
Well, it started a long time ago when I first moved to New York. I was one of the first plus size models, and you know, it started there because I didn't fit the mold of what a model should be, and I said that's okay. I'm not conforming, so I sort of am a pioneer and a trailblazer in that respect, and I made the leap into fashion through the full figured arena, and I never looked back. So it's all about diversity and inclusivity, and that is just a great mantra for my everyday MO. And I just don't throw the baby out with the bath, just add to the bathwater. I met my husband at a go-see, which is a casting. They didn't have cosplayers in those days, so they were hiring models to wear costumes at Comic-Con. So I went up for an interview for She-Hulk because they went to the plus agency and they wanted big girls. So I went to Marvel and met my husband, who was conducting the interviews, and he said, "Oh, you'd be much better for the Enchantress." And I thought, well, that's a pickup line I've ever heard.
Well, I didn't realize this was going to, it was going to have tentacles to just about everything.
I know. And it was just one of those things where I didn't know much about the comic book world because my family kind of said, read a book, don't read a comic book. And it is completely wrong. Comics include everything from mythology to theology to philosophy to just our need for the superhero. So it was a real match made in heaven when I met him, because comics and fashion were so related because everyone wore a costume, and you want the readers to pay attention, either off the character or change their costume. So I learned very early on about the fashion aspect of comics.
You have pretty much answered what my next question was going to be about the relationship. And I have to tell you, I can totally relate because my parents were both teachers, and the last thing they wanted was us to read when I grew up, it was Superman and Batman, and of course the comic books were a dime. That's another whole story. Have you then become a comic book, devotee as a result of all of what you just told me?
Well, it's the biggest. Stan Lee created the biggest literary narrative ever created, a backdrop that's 7,500 characters. So for me to be a devotee, my husband really defined what a devotee was, because he was the heart and soul of Marvel Comics. He passed away in '96, but he had worked there from 1978 and to 1996 when he passed away. And he wrote Captain America longer than anyone. He edited 120 titles a month. He created the official handbook of the Marvel Universe. Everything he did was to elevate, uplift, and educate, and really get everyone on board with how much he loved comics, and get everybody to realize how cool it was to pay attention to the comic books. So that is about as devotee as you can get. And I know pretty much. I know a lot about his work, but I lived with the man. So when I do a panel at Comic-Con, his fans, who I've now been aligned with, I mean, they produce a show I do called Cosmoda, which is, imagine if Comic-Con had a baby with Fashion Week. Cosmoda, it is really everything that I've ever worked on with my fashion background and with comics all rolled into one. And when I'm on a panel with my husband's fans, they know his work, Gary, like
I'm sure. Yeah.
Right down issue 307 when so-and-so did this and so-and-so did that. I know the man, so I tell the funny anecdotes about living with somebody who was a comic book genius and very intense.
Well, you know, I'm just going back to our own youth when we weren't, you know, encouraged to read comics. What I have learned is that comics are an incredible teaching tool. They engage the youngsters. They certainly give them an imagination, and if you want them to read, it's very interesting because you get the bubble and it says, you know, who's saying what, and it really is educational and instructive. And you know, years ago, I did a segment here in our studio where we brought kids in who were creating comics. You just can't imagine something more useful for the intellect and emotional development of children.
Yep, I'm working with an entity now called Comic Books for Justice, and Terrence Coffey was in Rikers Island for 19 years in prison, and brought the reading level up from 4th grade level to 12th grade just by having comic books sent into the prisons, and the prisoners were reading them. And he is now out. He found a mentor. He went to school. He got his degree. He's teaching at NYU, and he has this entity called Comic Books for Justice. And he's in the criminal justice department, and you know, an adjunct professor, and really turned his life around and believed in that aspect of, you know, teaching comic books to teaching literacy through comic books. So I'm so proud to be a team member of Comic Books for Justice, and we're going to start doing a lot of work with many different agencies and teaching them to read with comic books. And I also have besides Cosmoda, I have Power Pieces. So one of my husband's fans had a flood in their comic book store up in Riverdale. And he called me because I'm sustainable and asked me what he could do with 60,000 warped comic books. And I said, "That's to me." I'll figure out something. So I have all these warped comic books, and I make jewelry out of them. I make Power Pieces. So I have earrings and necklaces, and so that's what I do. So I'm going to be doing Power Pieces with Comic Books for Justice because it's a way for them, and talk about mental health like your last guest was talking about. I mean, there is a distinct connection between creativity and mental health.
I think it's very interesting because you talked about your own sense of fashion and all those kinds of things that you like to do. Your sense of fashion changed. You started out being a fashion model of one type, and now clearly from what we've just seen, there's something going on out there. You've transformed your own life, right? I mean, exactly. So to me that's very exciting.
It's a complete journey of me, finding who I was, not trying to conform. And that in of itself is heroic, because I feel like if you appreciate your individuality and that spark in you that makes you unique, there's no way that anybody can hold you down. And I thought, I'm not alone. I mean, I thought, okay, I'm a size 14 and I'm 5'10", but I bet that everybody in the fashion world who wants to dress well is not a size 4 and 5'9", and the typical stereotypical model. And I was right. There's 67 million people in the United States who don't fit the bill, but I represent them. So I think that is, a little slice of heroism on my part to be able to bring people and tell them you're great, dress well. Fashion is self-expression, and whether you're dressing like a superhero or dressing for your life, it matters. Image matters.
It sounds to me like it basically cut off the chains, and all of a sudden you felt free. You could create what you wanted to create. Boy, I'm sorry I didn't get to know you. We had taken my parents' apartment after they had both deceased. Took their apartment apart, and I found a stack of comic books that they hid in the closet. And I could have given them to you. Yeah, we would have had would have had a Batman and a Superman and a Wonder Woman a necklace. So what's the bottom line? What is it ultimately that you want viewers to know about with Cosplay Runway and what you do?
Well, you know, we do events all through the year up to New York Fashion Week. So we have a lot of different people and what we're working with. We're doing May 1st. We have a gallery opening with Neil Adams' daughter, Zia Adams, and she's doing her artwork. And we're featuring it at the 114 West 71st Street Gallery. And it's all on the cosplayrunway.com website. But I just feel as though I'm doing lots of different events with costume stores, Halloween adventures, different studios. You know, I work with music and fashion and theater and everything into the mix. And everyone's included. That's my mantra: include yourself. And I believe that, you know, there's a place for everyone. We have tons of interns, volunteers, audience. We'd love to have you there. But you know, come see me on May 1st when I'm doing the Betty Boop. We're mixing in Betty Boop musical.
Right. Catherine,
So
we do gotta run.
Yes.
You are so cool. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being you. You're an inspiration for all of us. Cut the chains, be yourself, read the comics, bring the kids, right? That's what we're doing.
Everything will come together.
There you go. Catherine Schuller, fashion designer. Thank you so much for your time on Open.
Thanks, Gary. Bye.
See you later. All right, you know what happens next. We take a break. Then we come back with our final guest. You don't want to miss this one. Don't go away. Okay, welcome back to Open. Our final guests for the program are bringing to light the City College of New York's Lavender Week, which is a showcase of important conversations on mental health, led by CUNY students, advocates who are front and center at the heart of the issue. So please welcome to the show Professor Jaime Schwarz and Hype Team leader Lauryn Bivans. Jaime and Lauryn, nice to see you. Nice to have you with us. Don't we love CUNY? CUNY is at the heart of New York City. I'm a CUNY, a Lehman graduate, so I get it. Let's just start with you, Jaime. Talk to me a little bit about what Lavender Week is about and what this whole effort is for CCNY. And then, of course, the extension is for all the CUNYs and for everybody in New York.
Sure. So CCNY is very proud of hosting Lavender Week again, which is a mental health week for awareness. And it just so happens that the class that myself and Professor John Totaro teach, marketing and PR, with our mostly seniors class, is focused with Fox Corporation on mental health advocacy. So we'll be holding 3 different events today, April 28th at noon, in the NAC building with our 3 different teams, one of which led by Lauryn and her agency Hype, around the different insights that they've been researching on mental health awareness and advocacy.
Well, you're not going to talk about the research without telling us a little bit more about that research. Just give us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we
pretty much went to CCNY students and we had them fill out a survey that we made ourselves. And we found that actually 61, like over 50% of students already identify as mental health advocates. So like pretty much with this project, we kind of want to turn them into more active advocates and spreading the word of the resources that are available to them on campus.
Explain to me what a mental health advocate actually is. I mean, all of us would want, strong minds and strong bodies. I mean, why not? But how is that defined in the research you're talking about?
Yeah, so an advocate is pretty much what we found is because they already identify as advocates. However, like there's kind of a stigma when talking about their mental health. We want to just turn like these passive advocates into active advocates. So what that means is students care about other people's mental health. They're just not actually actively talking about it and engaging in these resources. So we kind of want to bridge that gap when for these resources.
Yes, I understand. I got to tell you that on another program that I host is called Bronx Talk. We did a show that did studies of people in New York City and their opinions. And one of the things that was shocking that only 17% of New Yorkers wanted the city to take people off the streets and put them right away into mental institutions without consultation and without support, et cetera, et cetera. This to me reflects exactly what Lauryn is talking about, that what we really want is real mental health support instead of just kind of moving them around from one place to the other. And I think, Lauryn, what you and Professor Schwarz are talking about fits right into that. Professor, talk to me about this whole, what you're doing in the context of an education at CCNY and frankly all the CUNY institutions.
Sure. So this is a 400 level course where we're focused as a capstone with Fox Corp on what they care about most, which is mental health advocacy. So we are doing this basically as an ad agency would. It's modeled very much in the same way that I, as a former creative director, and Professor Totaro, as a PR expert, can model the class in order for the students to really have real world experience, hence a real world client. So in cooperation with NAMI.org, Fox Corp has asked us to really work on not just mental health, but advocacy. And as Lauryn was saying, in their studies support the stigma that has really stopped people because of things like thinking about institutions rather than just simple active listening, normal kinds of therapy, work with other services that CCNY is full of. And this is one of the things that we really want to get across. College is one of those times, and especially in this CUNY system, where services are everywhere for everybody, especially during this very stressful time as kids are learning to become adults and dealing with real world issues. So to take advantage of all of the services that CCNY has and the CUNY system at large is a great goal for us.
You know, what's really exciting to me is the notion, not only that people say, well, of course, we want everybody to be healthier, but both of you have used the word as advocates, that the students want to be advocates, that they want to help. That to me is a very exciting thing. It says a lot about New Yorkers, and it says a lot about young New Yorkers who see stuff going on and want to figure out how to be, volunteer themselves to have people do better. I don't know which one of you wants to just respond to what I said. Probably both of you. Let's start with you, Professor, and then we'll get to you, Lauryn, about this kind of thing.
Yeah, as speaking as an old person myself, this is something that's changed generationally. When I was a psychology major up in college, mental health was just something that you did only think about in terms of your psychology degree and therapy and things like that were much more on the deeper end. And only now, I think, past millennials and into the Gen Z generation, and Lauryn's a perfect example of this, as the rest of the classes, of really taking mental health seriously. But how you act on that, I think, is where a lot of us are stuck. And it's been so great to see all the different research that the different teams have all come to different conclusions on. HYPE being a great example in terms of, well, I'll let Lauryn speak for herself in terms of what they found beyond stigma.
Lauryn, go ahead. Just talk about this notion that it's not just learning about it, and it's not just saying, well, these are issues, and then they put it in their notes, but these are people who really want to do something.
Yeah, so I think like with the younger generations, with Gen Z, we've definitely changed the conversation with mental health. I think a lot of us are burnt out with something that's like we found with CCNY students is that some of us have jobs or outside responsibilities outside of school. And sometimes it's okay to just take a 10-minute break. And that is still part of mental health. It doesn't always have to be, what Professor Schwarz was saying, like, a psychology or you need to speak to someone. Sometimes it's literally just taking a breather and so that just to avoid like burnout.
And so that really is a very simple way of looking at something that's very complex. Let's conclude here. Lauryn, start with you and talk about Lavender Week and what we expect from Lavender Week.
Yeah, so on the campus, on City College campus, we'll be having our events, and my team will be in the Hoffman Atrium. It's going to be from 12 p.m. to 2. So today, so that's pretty much, it's going to be local vendors providing food, and then we'll also be educating students on the programs at City College. So that's pretty much everything that we'll be doing.
Professor, we'll give you the final word. What's the pitch here as we see some of the wonderful students who are involved in this? But what is the final pitch here for Lavender Week and what CCNY is doing?
Pitch is a great word. This is a marketing and PR class, so the students have really put out a great effort in terms of the marketing that you've probably seen if you've been on campus from posters and social media posts about the event. So just the promotion of getting people to talk about, go to these 3 events that will all be happening from noon to 2 in the NAC building at CCNY campus is a great way for them to learn not just about mental health, but marketing and PR in general. So it's a win-win for CCNY, for the students, for Fox Corp and NAMI, and everybody else involved.
You know, this, I'm just going to conclude myself. Maybe I'll make the final pitch. This is what a CUNY education is about, because this is a creative approach to solving problems, to helping young people, or maybe not so young, our CUNY students, go out and really create a better world for all of us. So we thank you, Professor Jaime Schwarz at City College of New York, and Lauryn Bivans, who's the hype team leader at CCNY. The best, man. You guys are great. We're all working together on the same thing. We're pulling in the same direction. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, that is all the time we have today. We've had a busy show and a fun show, really doing good stuff for the borough of the Bronx. I want to thank all our guests for joining us, for our viewers for tuning in and checking us out, for our incredible producer, Stephen Powell, who does an amazing job. And stay tuned to BronxNet.tv for continued coverage. Thank you for sharing this space and time with us. And join our hosts, Bob Lee, Jonathan Calixto, Darren Jaime, and Rena Valentine for all new episodes of Open on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. We'll see you. Good night. Good day.